Hello friends, myself R.D. Patil teaching you the subject fluid mechanics. Before going to the lecture for today, we are going to see the summary of the previous lecture. In the previous lecture, we have solved the problems on capillarity and we have studied what is vapor pressure and cavitation. So, vapor pressure is nothing but the pressure exerted by the vapor on the surface of the liquid, as well as the cavitation occurs when the local pressure or actual pressure is below the vapor pressure of a liquid, and due to the cavitation the cavities are produced on the metal surface. So, today we are going to learn some principles in the fluid statics. So, fluid statics or hydrostatics, hydro means water, is the branch of fluid mechanics that studies fluids at rest and the pressure in a fluid or exerted by a fluid on the immersed bodies. So, fluid statics studies the behavior of the fluid which is at rest and the pressure exerted by that fluid or liquid on the immersed bodies. So, the first principle is Pascal's law. See the Pascal's law, you can state this Pascal's law as the pressure at every point is same in all the directions. So, when you are considering the water or liquid at rest, the water will exert same pressure in all the directions. So, that is called as Pascal's law. Now, this pressure intensity can be defined as force upon area. So, P is nothing but pressure or pressure intensity that is equal to force upon the area on which it is acting. So, you can find pressure inside the container. Now, the next definition is total pressure. Now, see, for exam there are only the definitions of different quantities. So, total pressure it is defined as the force exerted by a static fluid on the surface, either plane or curved, when the fluid comes in contact with the surfaces. This force always acts normal to the surface. So consider the liquid is stored in a container, there is a liquid and the pressure exerted by the liquid molecule is same in all the directions, and this pressure is acting normal to the surface. So, the pressure is acting normal to the surface, that is one important point, and the total pressure is nothing but the force exerted by a static fluid. The surface may be either plane or curved. So, that is the definition for total pressure. Now, the next is, these definitions are asked for 2 marks in the examination. So, center of pressure, it is defined as the point of application of total pressure on the surface. So, when the total pressure is acting or the force is exerted by the static fluid, that application point of that pressure or force is called as a center of pressure. Now, next property of the fluid is buoyancy. So, buoyancy will occur when a body is immersed in a fluid, that fluid experiences a upward force, and that upward force is called as a buoyancy or buoyant force, and that upward force is equal to the weight of the fluid displaced by the body, and this is called as force of buoyancy or buoyant force. You can see this upward force or buoyant force is equal to the weight of the fluid displaced. Now, consider a container filled with a liquid, and in that container if you have dipped any body, that body will experiences a upward force. So there is a resistance to our hand to dip the body inside the liquid. So that resistance is due to the upward force, that is called as buoyant force, because that fluid is opposing the body to be immersed. So that fluid will exert a force on the body, and that is nothing, that is equal to the weight of the fluid displaced due to that body. So this is a buoyancy. And center of buoyancy, it is defined as a point through which buoyant force is supposed to act. So it is a point at which the buoyant force is acting. Now what is that point? That center or point is nothing but the center of gravity of the fluid displaced. So this is nothing but center of gravity of the fluid displaced, means the buoyant force is supposed to be acting at the center of gravity of the fluid displaced. Now the next concept is metacenter. So in this metacenter occurs when the body is immersed in the fluid. Now see, for this there is a condition that you have to provide some oscillations to the body, and when you are providing the oscillations to the body, that body is will start oscillating about a point, and that point is called as a metacenter. So it is a point about which body starts oscillating when the body is tilted by a small angle. So if you provide the angular motion to the body or a small jerk to the body, that body will oscillate about a point. That point is called as a metacenter. The line of action of force of buoyancy will meet the normal axis of the body when the body is given a small angular displacement. The point M is called as a metacenter. Now see, the line of action of buoyancy. This is a line of action of buoyancy, and this one is the angular displacement. So the angle between the normal axis of the body and the action of force of buoyancy, that angle where these two lines are meeting, that point is called as a metacenter. See, this is the normal axis of the body, and when you are providing a angular motion, then the buoyancy will be different point, and this is a action of force of buoyancy, and where these two lines are meeting, that point is called as a metacenter. So this is the metacenter. B means buoyant force, G means center of gravity, B1 means when you are giving an angular displacement, that is another buoyant point, and M means metacenter. Now see, metacentric height. So in this metacentric height is nothing but it is the distance between metacenter of a floating body and the center of gravity of the body is called as metacentric height. So distance between metacenter of a floating body and the center of gravity of the body is called metacentric height. So metacenter and center of gravity, that distance is called as a, now we are going to refer the previous figure. So this is a point G, this is the point G, this is the point G, and this is the point M. So the distance between these two is called as a metacentric height. This distance G and M, this distance is called as a metacentric height. Now next is the conditions of equilibrium of floating bodies. When the body is immersed in a liquid, it will be, if it is floating, then which are the conditions for equilibrium of floating bodies? So there are three conditions: stable equilibrium, unstable equilibrium, and neutral equilibrium. In these three conditions, the body will be floating. Now see, before this we have to consider B as a buoyant point, G as the center of gravity, and M as the metacenter, and W is the weight of the body. FB is the buoyant force. Buoyant point means where the buoyancy is acting. FB means force acting due to the buoyancy, and W is the weight of the body that is acting in the downward direction, and buoyant force is acting in the upward direction. B means buoyant point, G means center of gravity, M means metacenter. So depending on the position of the B and G, we are getting three different equilibriums. So first refer the figure A. In this figure, first figure is when you are not provided any angular displacement, and second figure is for after providing the angular displacement. So initially the points are shown here. So when you have provided the angular displacement, the line of action of buoyant force is changing. Line of action of buoyant force and your weight component is also changed. So in the second figure, it is clear that after giving a small angular displacement, this B is above G. B is above G. B means buoyant point is above the center of gravity, that is called stable equilibrium. When the point B is above G, that condition is called as a stable equilibrium. Now see what happens in case of stable equilibrium. Now you have provided angular displacement, so the body will start oscillating about the point that is called as a metacenter, and it will not come to the rest it will come to the rest in a stable equilibrium due to the restoring force produced by the buoyancy. So that will be acting in the opposite direction of the force exerted or angular displacement given. So in stable equilibrium, the body will come to the rest or initial position after some time, because the buoyant force is restoring the couple is produced due to the buoyant force and the weight of the body, and that will cause the body to come at rest, and that is called as a stable equilibrium. In case of unstable equilibrium, the condition is different. In this case, G is above B. G, center of gravity, is above B, means buoyant point, and through the center of gravity weight is acting, and at buoyant point the buoyancy force is acting, and these two components are opposite. Weight is acting in the downward direction and buoyant force is acting in the upward direction. Now if the value of G is above B, in that case, if you have provided angular deformation or oscillations to the body, it will not come to its original equilibrium position, because they are acting in the same direction, and means the couple is not produced. They are not opposing, they are helping each other. These forces are helping each other for the oscillation of the body. So it will be unstable equilibrium. The body will not come to the stable condition due to this position of G and B. So in case of unstable equilibrium, G is above B. So at the time of examination, if it is asked to write the conditions for equilibrium of floating bodies, in that case, firstly you have to draw these figures and write the explanation. So the next condition is neutral equilibrium. So in the neutral equilibrium, B coincides with the G point. B point coincides with G point. G means center of gravity point and B means buoyant point, where the buoyancy force is acting. So that is called as neutral equilibrium. So these are the three conditions for floating bodies. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can contact me through WhatsApp group, or you can share your questions in the chat box.